any point you're trying to elicit tears?
Well, you don't try, but if they happen, it's certainly impactful on the jury, but it can be too bad. It can actually be to the point where it prejudices the jury. So if it gets strong, you have to ask the judge for a break.
But see, and the direct is very organic too. He's obviously listening to what she's saying because he's picking up on what she's saying and taking her to the next step. How'd you do this? How'd you feel? Describe. You should never get trapped on a direct as long as you're listening. There should always be a next question that's available. We're coming up on about 20 minutes left, so I'm going to switch you over to cross and
You want to
closing.
show the crosses and then I'll explain?
Yeah.
We're going to show you the cross clips first, and then I'll explain what I was doing and how I was doing it.
Quick question.
Yeah, of course.
So at this point, you're obviously prepping. When I say prepping, you're obviously going over with your client the testimony to some degree. How much of that are you doing? Because obviously you don't want it to be too rehearsed at the same time.
Yeah, I like it to be conversational.
So
I like to have a conversation. And part of what I do is I go over the areas generally. I don't practice. I talk to my client. And in my conversation, we're going to be talking about the same things I'll be asking you in trial. And I'll just ask questions, I'll ask for clarifications, and the client feels we're having a conversation. That's how I do it.
and there's no point you're concerned about asking the question without knowing the answer.
No, I'm saying this is before.
I understand. So I tend to do that.
I don't ask a question if I don't know the answer. Very rarely.
Right.
Only if my gut tells me do it, because my logical side, my Spock side says don't. So every once in a while I get a Kirk moment where he just goes for it because it's the right way to save the world. But very few and far between. My general rule is always ask a question to which you know the answer, even on cross. Unless the answer doesn't matter. Sometimes the answer doesn't matter. That's the exception. But I think it's very dangerous if you ask questions you don't know the answer to. But I rehearse. I just don't rehearse. I'm going to ask you this question and you're going to give me this answer. I'm going to ask you this. I don't do it that way. I have a conversation. We go over the testimony through conversations. And if my client's having a hard time, then sometimes I'll have a colleague cross-examine. Practice cross-examine, but not the direct. Because I like it fresh for the reasons you said. I don't want it to look stale.